You wouldn't put it against him doing it again against the Tractor Boys, would you? All right, let's go from the champions to the league leaders now. Liverpool are 4 points clear at the top with a game in hand, of course, and they go to Brentford.
I think Liverpool has done fantastic this season. I think they are the best performing team, or have been the best performing team this season. They are top of the league, quite comfortable. They are favourite to the title.
No, I don't look at it that way. I didn't even know that they were playing later than us. I only look at the opponent we have to face, and I know that's a tough one. Brentford was my first Premier League game, I think, and then I already thought like, oof, if this is going to be the resistance we get every week, then it's going to be then this is a more difficult league than the Eredivisie, which I knew before I came, but it was proven that day as well. And they've had a very good season till now. Had a 2-2 against City, great game. Both teams creating a lot of chances, and their manager has done a fantastic job for so many years now. You can see that it's a team that has worked together with their manager for a long time. So that's my only focus, and not on when does Arsenal play or when does Chelsea play or when do all the others play. We only focus on ourselves and the team we have to face.
And when the advantage at the top of the table has narrowed the way it has, how does that impact the squad mentally, if at all?
I don't think we are as much as the media thinking about the league table every second of the day. We are trying to get the best out of the players, and with we I mean my staff, and the players trying to get the best out of themselves every single day. And these players know how long the season still is and how many games they have to be in the best possible form to win something in the end of the season, which is not something that happens every single season. So we are not so focused on the league table as other people are. We are focused on getting a good training session today and getting a good game tomorrow. And as a result of that, we are hoping for a result. But the only way to get a result is to work on a daily basis in the best possible way.
Just building on that point about Brentford, it was Virgil that mentioned after the game against Forest that people might jokingly, he said, think we're in a bit of a crisis, but that's just another example of how tough the Premier League is this season, and Brentford are a real example of that.
Yeah.
Do you agree?
Yeah, the last thing I agree, and the first one as well. This season, maybe more than every other season, shows the strength of every single team that's in the league. Even yesterday evening, I think it was quite a surprise to see Southampton going toe to toe with United. So it shows you that in the second half of the season, and I told this thing last week as well, it's even harder to win your games than in the first half of the season, because teams are longer together, managers working longer with the team. You've played already once against each other, so maybe there's a different game plan. So some teams bring players in to strengthen the squad. And teams are fighting for getting into Europe, winning the league, trying to stay in the league. So second half of the season is always even more difficult than the first half of the season. And Brentford is an example of a team that was already really strong in the first half of the season, especially at home. But it had maybe something to do with the fixture list as well, because they had a lot of difficult away games. But they are a very good team for a few years now, and they've showed it this first half of the season, and especially Tuesday evening again against City.
You've got a really busy period coming up now, where you're, for the next foreseeable future, going to be playing week, weekend. Do you vary things in training? Do you do anything differently in order to make sure that the squad is fully prepared for that?
No, because if I remember correctly, this has been the situation from the moment we started against Brentford. Maybe that was the only week afterwards where we didn't play a game during the week, but from that moment on, it was almost every time since the Champions League started. It's almost every week a double program, and then you would tell me, yeah, but there were international breaks where they went to the national team, which is true, because there were 10 days off for me or 7 days off for me, but not for the players. So even in March, again, where you feel like, okay, there's a break in March, but I know a bit better than every other country where the Dutch team plays against, and that's Spain. So it's going to be for Virgil, for Cody, and for Ryan, 2 very tough games against a very strong team again. When you guys think they have a break, so this is for the whole season. It's like this. This is what makes the Premier League the hardest league in the world to play in, I think, and to compete in. But we've tried to prepare them in pre-season and during the year for this schedule. So if you look in it a bit closer, you see that every 3 or 4 weeks there's been a break for a player like Virgil when we had the League Cup game or an other game where he was off during the week. And that is the way we try to manage it. And what the good thing is, what we still see is that the physical output is, even after the winter break, is even higher than before. So they are completely fit and ready for this program. But if you look at the results, you could argue differently. But I've said many times before, that is 9 out of 10 times because of the resistance you face from the other team, and not about if it's a 12-15 kickoff or injuries or other excuses that are mostly there. It's always about the quality of the team you face.
And they go into this game in a strong position, of course, unbeaten in 16. They've been top of the table for over 2 months. I just wonder, though, 4 draws in the last 6 games? Has their grip of top spot weakened of late?
I mean, it seems that way. I mean, Nottingham Forest midweek, Mo Salah probably had one of his worst games of the season, and when that happened...
He was very quiet.
He was, and that's OK, it happens. You know, as a class player like he is, he's going to have moments. I think Nottingham Forest right now, people are talking about them potentially doing a Leicester. I don't quite see that yet, but they're in incredible form, and I know you won't like that, Manish. Chris Wood, and
I don't know what you mean. Yeah.
I mean, they scored after Tsimikas gets the assist, you know, Diego Jota gets the goal 28 seconds. I don't think we've ever seen, like...
22 seconds.
22 seconds. Like, I don't think we've ever seen anything like it. And I think with Liverpool, I personally think they will win the league. But what I will say is that they still don't look like they're running away with it. Do you know what I mean? There's still some type of fragilities in that team.
What do you think, Darren?
I think it speaks to the strength of the Premier League, that even though they did have that lead for so long, they look as though they're faltering. But also you'd expect it as well, because of the strength of the Premier League. And sometimes we do this a lot as fans. A team is streaking clear in December, we kind of declare the race over.
It has been, though, Darren, hasn't it, with Man City? Well, like, it's more or less been done the last 3 seasons.
Where they normally come alive in December and then start to streak away over the subsequent months, whereas as far as Liverpool are concerned, they were so far clear, and they had the opportunity to go, I think it was 11 points clear, but they faltered against Manchester United. What I do think, very uncharacteristically for... Perhaps they started to believe in that publicity a bit, because everybody expected them to slaughter Manchester United, and they didn't at home, and they surrendered 2 points. And then, of course, in the League Cup, away to Tottenham, who were so poor against Arsenal, they fell behind. And this is not the normal Liverpool. So even though they're in a good place, I think their grip is weakening at the moment, and it will take a really strong performance at a really difficult place to go. Only Liverpool and Arsenal have got similar records to Brentford at home. Yeah. I think they won 7 of the last of their 9 games at home so far this season. Liverpool do have a terrific away record.
Yeah, but they're unbeaten away, yeah.
Exactly, but they're up against Wissa. They're up against Mbeumo. Yeah. And those two have both scored goals for fun. They're the only 2 players in the league that have scored, you know, as a pairing, as many goals that they have done.
And no one's even talking about the fact they lost Ivan Toney, because those 2 are doing well for Brentford.
Yeah. Actually, talking of which, Wissa has now become Brentford's top Premier League goalscorer, overtaking Ivan Toney. I don't think he gets the credit he deserves.
Well, the talk is that Arsenal have an interest in him. It'll be interesting to see if they pursue that, given that they do need a striker by the end of this window. But as far as he's concerned, I almost think back to when Thierry Henry left Arsenal and Nicolas Anelka really did come alive. And I wonder if Toney leaving Brentford has allowed both those players, actually, Mbeumo and Wissa, to get their confidence. You've been a striker, you know far better than I do.
I was always the main one, though. I'm only joking. I'm only joking. No, but I know what you're saying. Like, sometimes, look at Tottenham when Harry Kane left. Initially, you know, it looked like Harry Kane's probably thinking, I should have stayed there, because they were playing free-flowing football. I think, from my experience, when a top player leaves, everybody else gives that extra 10, 15%, because they can't rely upon that player.
It's a collective thing.
Whereas you'd think they just capitulate and think they've lost this massive player. But what's the link, Wissa going to Arsenal? Like, how much are we talking? You're the person in the know, Dan.
What, in terms of how much it would cost?
Yeah.
Oh, it costs easily in excess of 60, 70 million pounds.
Interesting.
I mean, he's been a terrific player for them. He's key to what they're trying to do. They'd be trying to take him mid-season. They'd be justified in asking for that much money.
You're talking about January?
Talking about January,
wow.
yeah. The interest is there. But I think as far as Wissa is concerned, he's playing with so much more confidence now. He's doing that because he's playing with a Brentford team that know him, know his game. It would be very different if he were to go elsewhere. He'd be stepping up a level, there'd be more pressure on him, and suddenly you're looking at a very different player. You know, can you respond to that? But as far as Brentford are concerned, what he has done for them is show that he does have that ability, and I think they're going to be very, very difficult for Liverpool.
Credit to Thomas Frank as well, because I think he's a manager that I think whatever team you support, you always enjoy watching him, you know, his press conferences when he's talking, and I think what he's done with that team is unbelievable. Because you look at the players they've got, like...
Look at the players they haven't got.
Yes.
I mean, they've got 6 or 7 injured. By the way, you know, Hickey, Pinnock, they've been... You know, a lot of their defence, Ayer as well.
Losing Raya as well.
Yeah, but even then, he still manages to grind out results. The one against City, the comeback was terrific.
Well, that was the reason why I thought that was significant that you played that right at the start, because you picked that, didn't you? And that showed real character. That showed that they are there. You know, sometimes you can have a great record, and as soon as you play one of the superpowers, suddenly it falls apart. But suddenly they were 2 goals down. They could easily have thrown in the towel, but they fight their way back to 2-2. Terrific result for them, and a warning to Liverpool as well.
Yeah, talking of Liverpool, Mo Salah and the report situation, you've already spoken briefly about that. Will the City Haaland news, you know, almost prompt them into announcing 1 or 2 things? What is the latest on that, Darren? What do you know?
I don't think that the Haaland thing can prompt them, because I think there's 2 very different sets of circumstances. Haaland's 24, Salah's 32, 33. And I think as far as Salah's concerned, everybody knows what he can do, but it's on a huge amount of money that they don't want to have to commit to by the time he's 35. He's 32 at the moment.
Do you know what I said on the show 2 weeks ago? Give that man whatever he wants. Because
would you still say that? Would it make fiscal sense to give him what he wants and he's on that
Depends
money?
on what he wants.
100%.
Well, there are lots of
I
players
heard it was a 1+1 perhaps in the offing.
It could be, but the problem is for Liverpool is that they will have looked around the Premier League and saw Aubameyang, they would have seen Ozil, they would have seen so many other players, Alexis Sanchez, Wayne Rooney in his last contract at Manchester United, and they would have said to themselves, do we want to anchor ourselves financially to a player? Listen, he keeps himself in outstanding physical condition. Let's not kid ourselves, and no need to write.
And he's still one of the best in the world, Darren. Like, he's still one of the best
absolutely.
in the world. Like,
but he is now.
Yeah.
And they will have data, you know, that they will have data that we are not party to. How will he look in 18 months' time? How will he be in 2 years' time?
Sometimes that's
And
to
they're
come a
the
little
things
bit
you
of
have to
loyalty.
consider.
Though.
Yeah.
You do have to consider that. I'm not writing the money for the checkbook. You know what I mean? And but I just think, like, who can Liverpool get in that will do what he does next season and the season after that? No. He will guarantee you double digits. He'll guarantee you goals. And when he's not playing well, Liverpool look like a different team. Yeah. So who would they get instead of him?
Well, everyone said that about Kane. And Spurs now, what, they're second highest scorers in the Premier League at the moment.
Yeah, but look where they are in the league. Come on.
Because they can't defend.
Darren, I think you've lost that argument. Well, look, talking about Salah, Liverpool, of course, they're going to be taking on Brentford, looking to keep their...
Well, not too much on transfers there from Arne, which I'm sure he was very happy about. But, of course, the future of the big 3 is looming large. Manny, what is the consensus amongst Liverpool fans? Do you think all 3 are going to stay? All 3 are going to go? One's going to stay, 2 are going to go?
Very mixed at the moment. So I feel like for Virgil, we've not heard too much. Trent, we know sometimes there's rumours going around of, he's signed or he's already agreed something with Madrid. For Salah, pretty similar in terms of, like, we don't really know, but he knows the ball's in his court right now. He's smiling, he's enjoying the ride right now. And I think, personally, if he stays, everybody's happy, but he knows it's a win-win for him at the moment. For Trent, obviously, it's still in the balance, but I think Liverpool fans want him to come out and say, yes, I'm staying, yes, I want to stay, and I'd love to spend the rest of my time at the club.
So if there was a straw poll done now amongst Liverpool fans, what would they say? Would they say Van Dijk, Salah stay,
I think
AlexanderArnold leave?
Salah stay and Trent to leave, just because they know the proposition of going to Real Madrid, being alongside Jude, and also trying something new after already winning and having success at Liverpool. So I think some people think he could be on the way out.
My only concern with that, though, is I don't think anyone's really discussed Real Madrid for Trent Alexander-Arnold. If he doesn't perform there, the Spanish fans are very different to potentially the Liverpool fans, and the heat that could be on him if he doesn't put in a defensive shift every single game and makes mistakes. It could be a huge decision, huge.
Gareth Bale knows all about that.
The pressure's a lot here at Anfield as well, especially being a scouser for him. So I don't think it's anything he's not used to. He's come through the ranks as a young player and he's still performed.
It's worse for him out of the three of them, isn't it? Because he's that local lad. Local players are always treated a little bit differently. I think the age profile of him is different to the other two, and you kind of get the feeling, this is just my own opinion, that he might want to go and test out himself at Real Madrid just from quotes that he said in the past. But you almost feel like he's looking for the right way to do it. The other two have been quite vocal about, well, actually, I'd quite like to stay. It feels like they might stay, but for Trent, it's definitely harder.
Yeah. Well, Trent hasn't said anything yet. Van Dijk hasn't really said anything either. If this drags on, at what point does it become quite destabilising? Say if you're in March and we still don't know anything about the futures of any of them.
Yeah. Take your mind back to last season. Around this point last season, Klopp announced that he was leaving Liverpool. We all thought that would spur them on in the title race. They were still in the hunt for all 4 trophies. And unfortunately, for various reasons, their season went off a cliff. Yeah. Hopefully for Liverpool fans, hopefully for you, Manny, that doesn't happen this year. But it can't be a good thing that your 3 most important players that are irreplaceable for different reasons are out of contract in the summer. And the noise will just rumble on and on and on until something gets signed.
I think it definitely has to get resolved sooner rather than later. Yeah. And those are as good as new signings.
Great stuff, guys. Thank you very much. I know that was very much seat of your pants stuff with all the Haaland news, but great work from all of you.